Can you believe it's been 35 years since this great rom-com ever came out? Well, you better believe it. Here's my re-review of Pretty Woman. Big D's Entertainment Rankings and Reviews. So, greetings, my fellow YouTubers, and welcome to Big D's Entertainment Rankings and Reviews. My name is Doyle, better known to as the Big D, and this time around I bring to you a re-review of the 1990 rom-com flick Pretty Woman, released by Touchstone, directed by Gary Marshall with a screenplay by J.F. Lawrence, starring Richard Gere and Julia Roberts, along with Hector Elizondo, Laura San Giacomo, Jason Alexander, and Ralph Bellamy in his final performance. If Sarah's on a Hollywood escort and a wealthy corporate raider, as this escort is hired, well, as this gal is to be hired by this corporate raiders to be his escort for several business and social functions, and their relationship develops during her week-long stay with him. Really a great film. And of course, this was actually, of course, based on the 1964 classic "Oh Pretty Woman," performed by the late great Roy Orbison. Now, the original screenplay was titled 3000. Anyway, the film was released on March 23rd, 1990. Henceforth, today is the 35th anniversary of this film. Now, it was originally intended to be a dark cautionary tale about class and sex work in LA. The film was reconceived as a rom-com with a large budget. It was received with mixed reviews, however, upon its release, but widespread praise was directed towards Roberts' performance and her chemistry with Gere. It eventually became a big success. So let's get into the story. One night, while leaving a business party in the Hollywood Hills, corporate raider Edward Lewis takes his lawyer Phillips Lois Esprit, and finds himself in the red light district of Hollywood Boulevard, where he meets call girl Vivian Ward. Lost and struggling to operate the stick shift, Edward accepts Vivian's offer to drive him to the Regent Beverly Wilshire Hotel. Impulsively, he hires her for the whole night. Despite initial awkwardness, finds her charming, and they have sex in his penthouse suite. The following day, Edward asks Vivian to stay for the week, as he must attend a series of business events while attempting to acquire Jim Morris's shipbuilding company. After negotiating, Edward and Vivian agree on $3,000, and he also gives her money to buy appropriate clothes. However, when Vivian tries to shop on Rodeo Drive, snobbish and rude saleswomen turn her away as she asks hotel manager Barney for assistance. He gets upscale store saleslady Bridget, who is very kind, to find her a cocktail dress for that evening's business dinner. Later, she gets Barney to teach her table etiquette. Edward is astounded by Vivian's transformation. At dinner, he introduces Vivian to Morse and his grandson David, who is to take over the company. The Morses are charmed by her, but ultimately the dinner does not go well, as they are unhappy with Edward's plan to dismantle their company. Edward opens up to the transformed Vivian. He reveals relations. Well, not relation, well, not yet, but just getting there anyway. Let me restart. He reveals details about his personal life and business life, including his estranged relationship with his late father. Edward takes Vivian along as his date to a polo match. When Philip sees Vivian talking to David Morse, he tells Edward his suspicions that she is a corporate spy. Edward dismisses Philip's concerns by explaining their arrangement. With the knowledge of Vivian's true background, the married Philip talks to her alone and cruelly propositions her for her services. Back in Edward's suite, Vivian gets upset with Edward for exposing her in that way. He apologizes, admitting that he was jealous of Vivian talking to David and acknowledging that her directness is having a positive effect on him. Edward takes Vivian by private jet to see La La Traviata, sorry if I mispronounced that, at the San Francisco Opera. Story about a prostitute who falls in love with a wealthy man. She is moved and she breaks her no kissing rule before having sex with him. Believing Edward has fallen asleep, Vivian says she loves him. Now I'm going to go to the final act in the ending. That's what I'll do for this. So you have 5 seconds to stop this video immediately. Go to the description box below and fast forward to the time below as I count down now. If you've seen this movie already, please continue. Okay, you've been warned. As the week is almost finished, Edward offers to give Vivian a condominium and an allowance, promising to visit her regularly. However, Vivian is offended, feeling he is now treating her like a prostitute. She shares her childhood fantasy of being rescued by a knight on a white steed. Edward meets with Morris, but influenced by Vivian, chooses to work with him to save his company instead of dismantling it. Meanwhile, Philip, furious that Edward's new direction has cost him a fortune, goes to the Beverly Wilshire to confront him. However, he finds Vivian. Blaming her for Edward's changes and angry at his business decision, Philip hits her and attempts to rape her. Edward arrives, pulls Philip off of Vivian, punches him, and fires him. After completing his business in LA, Edward asks Vivian to stay with him for one more night, but only if she wants to. Not because he is paying her, she gently refuses and leaves after telling him she thinks he has lots of special gifts. Vivian returns to her apartment hotel to pack for a move to San Francisco to get a new job and a high school diploma. She gives her roommate, fellow prostitute Kit DeLuca, some money and tells her she has a lot of potential. Kit leaves sex work and enrolls in beauty classes. Vivian then waits in her apartment for the bus. Vivian's rejection prompts Edward to reevaluate his life. So he reroutes the chauffeur to her apartment instead of the airport. He climbs out of the white limousine's sunroof and extends the fire escape to rescue, well, in a way, Vivian. Just like the knight in her childhood fantasy, when he asks her what happens after the knight rescues her, she responds she rescues him right back and kisses him. End of story. So what did I think of Pretty Woman? I love this movie. I didn't quite get to take the time on this at first, but now after watching it years after it came out, because I was too young to watch it, I was just 10 when this came out. And I knew I couldn't watch an R-rated movie, even though I saw a few, but when I had cable, well, with my parents. But anyway, no say about that. After watching Pretty Woman a few times, I'm going to say this is a great film, and I love it. I mean, well, aside from Erin Brockovich, which Roberts would do a decade later, this is another one of her best films out there. Definitely. This film was very good. True Buena Vista, which is now Disney, this was Disney's highest grossing film ever, surpassing 3 Men and a Baby, which was a recent hit for Touchstone. It was also their highest grossing R-rated release until it was more recently surpassed by Deadpool and Wolverine. It is the 4th highest grossing rom-com film to date. As to this day, the film had went on to make $463 million worldwide on its $14 million budget. Yes, because it had been released in other countries later on, and it did pretty well, actually. It received mixed reviews at first. Rotten Tomatoes has it a score of 65, saying the film may be a yuppie fantasy, but the film's slick comedy, soundtrack, and casting can overcome misgivings. Metacritic has it a score of 51, and CinemaScore gave it an average grade of an A. The film detractors criticized the overuse of the hooker with a heart of gold trope. Others opined that the film sugarcoats the realities of sex work. That's understandable. Owen Gleeman of Entertainment Weekly wasn't impressed and gave this a measly D. It starts out as neo-Pygmalion comedy and becomes a plastic screwball soap opera with the kinds of characters who exist nowhere but in the minds of Calloway manipulative Hollywood screenwriters. Well, that's understandable. However, Roger Ebert in the Chicago Sun-Times gave it a positive review, praising how the film is about a particularly romantic kind of love, the sort you hardly see in the movies these days, and added that it protects its fragile love story in the midst of cynicism and compromise. The performances are critical for that purpose. Gere plays new notes here. His swagger is gone, and he's more tentative, proper, even shy. Roberts does an interesting thing. She gives her character an irrepressibly bouncy sense of humor and then lets her spend the movie trying to repress it. Actresses who can do that and look great can have whatever they want in Hollywood. I agree on that. Anyway, this film was what really put Julia Roberts on the map after she had recently done some other films before this, including Mystic Pizza and Steel Magnolias. Anyway, this movie was a big success when it was released. It's been a long run in the top 10 of the U.S. box office for 4 big months. That's 16 weeks. Anyway, it did get nominated for several awards. Roberts got nominated for Best Actress at the Academy Awards, but lost. However, she did win a Golden Globe for her performance. Richard Gere was nominated, but lost. Same with Hector Elizondo, who was nominated for Best Supporting Actor. Now, somehow, Roberts won Favorite Movie Actress at the Nickelodeon Kids' Choice Awards, but I don't really think this was for this film. It could have been for Steel Magnolias, since that was, I believe it was a PG film, but I haven't watched that in some time. It's been a long time since I saw that one. But anyway, yeah. Anyway, this would go on to have some many become a big pop culture sensation in the 90s. There would be a stage musical adaptation that opened on Broadway in the summer of 2018 in previews and then officially on August 16th. Anyway, this was really something. I've never actually seen the actual musical though. But anyway, now the music was composed by James Newton Howard, who does an exceptionally good job. Of course, you hear some really good songs on there, including Mr. Roy Orbison's "Oh Pretty Woman," of course. Who, of course, this was released just little over a year after his death in December of 1988. There was also some other songs you got to hear, including songs from Go West, the Red Hot Chili Peppers, and Peter Cetera. This also was well known for the #1 hit, It Must Have Been Love, by the Swedish pop rock duo Roxette. Now, if I'm not mistaken, sorry everyone. Yes, this was right after they actually made it with their Look Sharp album, having #1 hits with The Look and Listen to Your Heart. Anywho, so you got to admit the soundtrack's really good. For our cast, we have Richard Gere playing Edward Lewis. I'm saying he's absolutely really good in this. Julia Roberts as Vivian Ward, you can't go wrong with that. Like I said, this is one of her best performances. Just still before Aaron Brockovich. Ralph Bellamy in his final performance playing Jim Morris, not too bad. Jason Alexander, who of course, this was just right when he actually made it on TV's Seinfeld later. Well, he would be on Seinfeld later on. He played Philip Stuckey, not too bad. Hector Elizondo played Barney, although credited as a hotel manager. But of course, Elizondo would later appear in some other films that Gary Marshall did, most notably the Princess Diaries films. Let's see. Laura sang Giacomo. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. play Kit. She was good. We have Alex Hyde White playing David. Not bad. And there's lots of others and what have you. We have Amy Yazbek, Larry Miller, and Hank Azaria in his film debut. Larry Hankin, who's appeared in Annie and a few other films. He also would appear in Home Alone later that same year. Anyway, yeah, this was just such an amazing film. Pretty Woman, I find nothing. I don't find. I can't find nothing wrong with this film. This story's very good. The cast and their characters are good. The soundtrack is good, etc., etc., etc. Its humor's good too. So, enough said. This is not a bad movie at all. So, when I recommend Pretty Woman, I would say hell yeah, go for it. This is worth looking into. So what did you think of Pretty Woman? Let me know in the comment section below. If you like this video, click the like button, subscribe, and be a part of the Big D Nation. Continue to help support my channel, make it grow and make the views grow. Tell all your friends about my channel, give them to know me. Maybe they'd like to be a part of my Big D Nation. Share my vids with your friends if you like. Join me next time when I do a review of Miss Congeniality 2, Armed and Fabulous. So if you like this, check out my reviews for these other rom-coms. In the upper left-hand corner is my review of another film directed by Gary Marshall, which Julia Roberts actually did appear in, and that was Valentine's Day. Or if you would like maybe, well, that'll be one rom-com I'll give to you. Or if you'd like some more Julia Roberts, check out my review of her along with George Clooney in a big all-star cast in the remake of Ocean's 11. In the upper right-hand corner, and the bottom left-hand corner is my recent review of Erin Brockovich. And the bottom right-hand corner is the button you can click to subscribe. If you like rankings and reviews on movies, TV, music, video games, etc., then I'm your guy. Thanks for watching. Until next time, I'm the Big D saying, see ya.